Without further ado, let's move on to today's event. Today, we will hear a terrifying true story that happened in the life of an Imam. The story of that mysterious night, which still raises questions in people's minds. Let's get started. Around the year 1980, an Imam worked at a small village mosque. He was one of the most respected people in the entire area. People loved him for his honesty, his fairness, and his good character. Everyone in the village trusted him deeply. Besides leading the mosque, he also helped people solve their problems. Whenever someone was in trouble, he stood by their side. He always advised people to live with honesty and justice. Because of this, people of all ages trusted him completely. Whenever there was a conflict in the village, people called him to settle it. His judgment was respected and accepted by everyone. One day, news came about a dispute involving the son of one of his close friends. Just like before, he was asked to be present for the judgment. That day was Friday. But that day, the situation became difficult for the Imam. On one side, there was the judgment of his friend's son. On the other side, his own son was suffering from a very high fever. Before leaving, his wife asked him not to go. She said, "Your son's condition is very serious. Can't you stay home today?" The Imam stayed silent for a moment. Then he said, "People trust me. They have called me to bring justice. If I do not go, they may feel disappointed. Trust in Allah. I will return as quickly as I can." Then the Imam placed his trust in Allah and left his home to settle the dispute. Imam Sahib understood that his son's condition was very serious, but at the same time he could not refuse his friend, because that day the judgment involved the son of one of his closest friends. In the end, he decided that he had to go. Early in the morning, he left his home. The distance from his house to his friend's house was nearly 20 miles. Back then, travel was not easy like it is today. Most of the journey had to be done on foot. First, he had to walk a long distance. Then he had to travel by boat across the river for almost 3 hours. After that, he had to walk again for quite a long way. Even after such a difficult journey, the Imam arrived at his friend's house on time. Many people from the village had already gathered there for the judgment. The Imam listened patiently to everyone. He tried to judge the matter with fairness and justice. The discussion continued for a long time. By the time the judgment finally ended, it was almost evening. Darkness had already begun to fall across the village. And now, another serious concern appeared in his mind. After such a long journey, how would he return home again tonight? Before the judgment began, the Imam told his friend, "After the judgment, please accompany me for some distance. The road ahead is long, and traveling alone at night is not safe." But after the judgment ended, his friend had to leave urgently for somewhere else. The Imam realized he would have to travel alone. Without delay, he set out toward home. After walking for nearly 2 hours, he suddenly heard the sound of the Isha call to prayer, but he could not tell exactly where the sound was coming from. Darkness had fallen all around. He had been walking through the dark for a long time. Unfortunately, he had forgotten to bring a torch when leaving home. Walking through the darkness became even more difficult. Hearing the call to prayer, the Imam decided he would not continue without praying first. He started looking for a nearby mosque. The road was completely deserted. Very few people passed by. There was no one he could ask about a nearby mosque. There were no houses in sight either. Then, suddenly, he saw a man coming toward him. The man looked unusual. He was about 6 feet tall and dressed entirely in black. The Imam stopped him and asked if there was a mosque nearby. The man did not speak, but pointed to a road. Without much doubt, the Imam followed the path the man had shown. After walking some distance, he noticed the sound of the Isha call had disappeared. Everything around him was silent again. The Imam realized he had probably moved farther away from the mosque. A suspicion arose that the man might have shown him the wrong way. He paused and thought for a moment. Turning back was not easy anymore. He did not know what lay ahead. Dark night, deserted road, and deep silence all around. The situation was becoming more mysterious with every step. He could no longer remember the exact road he had taken in the darkness. Not seeing a way to turn back, he started walking forward again. After a while, he saw a house in the distance. A woman was standing there. The Imam asked her, "Is there a mosque nearby?" The woman pointed to a road. The Imam followed the path she showed. After walking some distance, he finally saw a mosque. Seeing it, he was astonished. In his own words, he thought, "I have never seen such a beautiful mosque in my life." He stood in front of the mosque for a while, thinking. He wondered, "Such a beautiful mosque exists here, yet no one ever told me about it." After a short pause, he entered the mosque. As soon as he stepped inside, he felt a strange calmness. A unique fragrance filled the entire mosque, and the atmosphere was peaceful and comforting. All the fatigue from his long journey seemed to vanish instantly. After resting for a moment, he performed the Sunnah prayers. When he finished, he looked around and saw that no one else was inside except the muezzin. Since he was alone, he stood up to perform the Fard prayer. At that moment, something strange happened. Suddenly, people started entering the mosque in groups. The Imam noticed that they all looked almost the same. From head to toe, everyone was dressed in white. He was surprised because normally so many people do not gather in a village mosque for Isha. They all stood in rows, and he joined them to pray. Then the people motioned with their hands for him to go forward and lead the prayer. The Imam's mind was filled with doubts. He realized that what was happening was far from ordinary. He thought, "If I refuse or resist, something bad might happen." With this thought, he stepped forward and led the prayer. After finishing the prayer, a feeling of regret came over him. He thought to himself, "Why did I finish the prayer so quickly?" The mosque was filled with such peace and comfort that he did not want to leave at all. Yet his mind was set on returning home because his son was ill. He had to reach home that day, no matter what. As he was preparing to leave the mosque, the people stopped him. They asked him to eat something before going. The Imam did not refuse. He felt that something supernatural was surely happening around him. After a short while, they brought various fruits and placed them before him. He ate them. Then he said, "I have never tasted fruits like this in my entire life." After finishing, the Imam set out for home again. After walking a long distance, he reached the riverbank. It was late at night. All around was silent, and no boat was in sight. He called out loudly twice, "Is anyone here?" But there was no answer. Seeing no other way, he removed his turban and placed it on the ground, then sat on it. He decided to stay there until the Fajr call to prayer. After sitting there for a long time, he saw a group of people approaching the riverbank. As they came closer, he recognized them as the same people he had prayed with in the mosque, but this time they were carrying something else. They were bringing a dead body with them. The Imam began reciting some surahs so that they could not harm him. After a short while, the people approached. The Imam asked, "Where are you going?" But they did not answer. He asked again, "Where are you going?" After asking 3 times, one of them finally said, "We are going to your house." The Imam said, "You will go to my house, very well, but whose body is this?" The people spoke in calm voices. "This is your son's body. You must come with us." Hearing this, the Imam became extremely frightened. He said, "Look, I have done you no harm. Go on your way and let me be." Suddenly, the people sank into the river. In an instant, they disappeared as if into thin air. A little while later, the Fajr call to prayer sounded. A familiar boatman arrived to take the Imam home. After crossing the river for 3 hours, he reached near his house. The villagers were there, consoling him. The Imam thought to himself, "Why is everyone consoling me? Surely something serious has happened at home." Finally, he reached his house. Outside in the courtyard, many people had gathered. He pushed through the crowd and went inside. What he saw made his chest tighten with fear. In the center of the courtyard lay his own son, lifeless, exactly as the unknown people had shown him by the river in the darkness of night. The Imam then saw that his son's body was swollen and floating. He was shocked and thought, "I had only left him with a fever. It shouldn't have ended like this." He quickly asked his wife what had happened. Through tears, she said, "At Fajr time, his fever suddenly rose very high. It rose so much that he began behaving strangely. At one point, he ran like a madman towards the pond and jumped in. They searched for him, but he could not be found. After a long time, his lifeless body suddenly floated on the pond's water." Hearing this, the Imam collapsed. A single thought kept coming back to him with regret. "If I had gone with those unknown people, maybe I would not have seen my son like this today." The event was truly strange. Even today, it is not known who the Imam had prayed with that night. Who were those people? Why had they known about his son's body beforehand? There is no clear answer. All that is understood is that something mysterious and supernatural was hidden in this event.